recording, I think. Sarah doesn't usually tell me when it's recording.
Yeah, there it is.
Recording has started, okay.
Okay.
So then we're gonna unmute it.
Technology.
Yep.
I was echoing earlier though, how did we fix that?
Oops. You might have to mute your
But are they gonna hear it online?
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Okay, so we were kind of hoping a couple more members would be here, but we can go ahead and call it to order because a quorum is 3 and I am a voting member. So we can go ahead and at least get started. So thank you for being here. This is the Election Commission meeting of Monday, August 7th, 2023. So last time we met was when we established redistricting guidelines or boundaries. We don't usually have to meet too often, but it was important that we did meet because first and foremost, we have a new member that's been appointed to the Election Commission. So real quick, I'll just start by calling roll and we'll go from there. So Member Belinda Porter. Okay. Member Doug Cohen.
Here.
Member Robert Watson. Member Mitchell Waldman.
Here.
And Stephanie Carlile, present. All right, so I'm hoping maybe, we did hear from Belinda, she's unable to make it today, but we're still hoping maybe Robert will pop in. Staff present today are Senior Deputy City Clerk Jackie McKinnon, Deputy Clerk, I don't know that, that's a tongue twister, Deputy Clerk Sarah Harkness, and then myself. So we'll go ahead and get started. The biggest thing on the next agenda item is nomination and selection of a new chairperson. I don't know if you would rather maybe wait until we do have a meeting with all members present, or if that's something that we wanted to do today.
I think I'd prefer waiting until we have more people in the group,
Yes.
unless I can nominate you to be. Stephanie, you be the.
I can act as the chairperson for today since we don't have one, but yes, I think that might be good if you guys are okay with just waiting
That
until
work
our
for
next
you, Mitchell?
meeting of the Election Commission to choose our chairperson.
Okay, okay,
You have to
Okay.
make a motion to that effect?
sure. I move that we wait until, well, our next meeting's gonna be early September.
So we have a lot drawing, would be our next gathering. It's not a formal meeting, however.
Okay.
So we would
So
not
just
be able
how
to
about
vote.
at our next regular Election Commission meeting?
Okay,
Would that not date specific? Does that work?
I think so.
Second,
Okay, thank you. All in favor, signify by saying
Aye.
aye. Any opposed? All right. We will table that to our next meeting. I think we may need to do the same for approval of the minutes, only because Member Waldman was
cannot vote.
not here, and we do need 3 to be able to approve those minutes, so we can table the minutes as well if we want to make a motion for that as well.
Did you just move that yourself and then?
I can move it, yeah. Move to table the minutes of the Election Commission meeting of January 30th. We could do that by telephone poll if you would like to do that, or at our next regular meeting.
So I think in the past, we've just sent, the meetings are like once or twice a year. We've sent the minutes out in an email and you would just vote on through that way, not like a group email, but singular
The
email.
individual, I think that
Telephone
would
poll,
be.
okay. So my motion is to send the minutes for approval by telephone, or not telephone poll, email poll.
No.
Yeah.
no, okay.
And we can do that within the next week.
Get a second?
Second,
Second,
all in favor, signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, citizen forum. I don't see that anybody is here to join us. Can you see out there, Jackie?
I don't see them.
Okay. Any other visitors?
I just realized we probably should have sworn in our new member before we were doing all this votes, but it's pretty, we can do that real quick.
Oh, yeah, it wasn't on the
I,
agenda.
for some reason I thought we had it on here.
We don't meet very
Sometimes that
often,
happens.
so we need to
I
get with the
know.
program.
That's been the
Yes.
challenge. Probably, seems like maybe this year will meet more than usual
Yeah,
with the craziness going on.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, correct. All right, well, I think let's take the opportunity to do that right
I
now.
have his oath right down there if he wants to read
Great.
that.
So essentially, I, Mitchell Waldman,
I'm Mitchell Holman.
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Englewood,
the Charter and ordinances of the State of Englewood,
and that I will, to the best of my ability,
and I will, to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform the duties of office as a member of the Election Commission.
faithfully
Faithfully perform
the duties of office as a member of the Election Commission
Perfect, during my continuance therein.
through my continuance there.
Thank you.
And then you'll just,
Congratulations.
you'll just sign that.
Welcome.
I'll have you sign that. Okay.
It's
Welcome
it's a
to the
double.
Election
It's
Commission.
a lot.
Yes, sorry about that oversight.
Oops, I put this 8th. I wrote the 8th instead of the 7th.
Okay. Check that, okay. All right, well, we're really excited. One of the big initiatives that we had as a city clerk team was to kind of ramp up our training materials for board and commission members. I think that we have so many amazing citizen boards, and we want to make sure that we were onboarding people consistently across the board. And so we worked really hard to get a packet of materials together that would be helpful for brand new members. And then we also worked on creating a training video for board and commission members. And so Doug, you've been around the block a few times, but it's exciting too for you, even as a seasoned board member, to just be able, we're gonna roll out our training video. But the biggest thing is that, you know, we appreciate your commitment to your community and your time and service. And, you know, we are here as a resource for you as the staff for this board. And that, you know, this is a board that doesn't meet all that often. However, you know, as Member Cohen has mentioned, we've had a lot come up in the last year, which has been provoking for us on thought of establishing, you know, re-looking at all of our processes and procedures and that type of thing. So we'll kind of, right now we're in the midst of getting everything executed in very short timelines, but I'll update you that in a little bit. But we'll go ahead and get started with the training video. This is something that every board and commission is watching, and then we'll certainly answer questions at the end, so. Okay.
Real quick, just Member Waldman has been on lots of boards in the past.
Oh,
So he's
that's
still gonna be
great.
kind of great for
Oh,
him
so you're
also.
seasoned as well.
I'm not sure what the training or.
That's fantastic.
Salty, is that season?
Yes.
So yeah,
Savory.
and then once we watch the video, I think on your own, if you guys can kind of review the updated charter. The charter was updated in November. And then Bob's rules and the board of commission. And then Member Waldman's already signed his little checklist because he's on Mally Trust Form board. So then once you, like by the end of the month, if you're able to review probably the charter, because I'm sure you probably reviewed everything else,
Yeah.
then we're just asking that you sign this commitment.
Sign
That
it and mail it back to you?
or just bring it back when we do the lot draw or
Oh, right,
email, or
okay.
see me at a council meeting.
Okay.
So yeah, that'll
Okay,
work.
got it. I can
All
do
right,
that.
let's see if this is gonna work. dang it, Jackie. Just trying to make it bigger.
send that out too.
There was a link to that on the email that you sent out to.
It was part of the packet.
Yeah.
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 So, I need to do this real quick.
All right, member Belinda Porter has joined us. Thank you
Yeah,
for joining us. I know that
Yes,
was-
yes. I didn't think I could make it, and then all of
I
a
know,
sudden,
you made it, so thank you.
the last minute, it changed again. I went, okay, I'm zooming.
That's good zooming. So we were able to swear in our new member, Wellman. Belinda Porter, yep.
Mitch.
So we were going over some of the training materials. It's a new initiative that the city has done to kind of ramp up our onboarding of board and commission members. And so we watched the video, it went out by link too. And then just some of the supporting materials that we have for people to kind of study up on, just so they feel equipped to be part of the boards and commissions. And then certainly we're here as staff, as a resource for you too, so. All right, any questions on the video or any of the training so
Just
far?
one question. If just, as we're wandering through the parking lot, if somebody asks us an election question, it sounds like we refer them to,
Yeah, I would reach out to us or, we certainly try to, like, as far as the media policy, is that what you're referencing?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that we kind of direct all that through our
so
communications department. Yep,
Send them to you
Yeah.
guys, okay.
yeah. And then, again, that's a good question. And as election commission members, because we have so much happening in our community right now, you might be asked certain questions.
Well,
So,
that's what my thought was.
yeah, and I think
So-
that's, that's
We're
like.
not going to answer, go talk to Stephanie or Jackie.
Yeah, just
Or Sarah.
refer them to us as a resource, certainly, and we're
Or
happy
Belinda.
to wrap you into that too.
Okay.
so.
And we do have information on the website for the recall and for the November election.
Okay.
We're trying to really
Many of the dates.
make the information accessible so people can go to the website, but they can always give the city clerk's office a call if there's any questions about any of it. So yeah, I think as election commission members, if you don't know the answer, I think it's very appropriate to just refer it to us. And if it's a media request, we would then refer that to the communications department
Okay.
So did you hand out a packet?
of training materials.
Yeah.
We have, no,
It was sent out email and also on the website.
Because I like hard copies, just so I can highlight and go through.
Okay.
And then if I
I
have
can
a
get you a
question,
hard
I can
copy.
jog it
Yeah.
down.
okay, yeah, we can
Okay,
get that
great.
for you.
Thank you.
It'll probably be in the next couple days.
That's fine.
I'm gonna stop by and
Yeah,
grab
I'm
it.
that same paper person. I can print them out on my printer at home, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
I
we
don't
can
know.
print, I can do it for you. If I'm gonna print one, I can print two.
sure, that would be great.
Member Waldman, do you want
I
paper?
printed.
You're good? Okay, so I'm gonna print two of those for member Cone and member Porter.
Great.
Yeah, and then the link, I will send that out to you.
Yeah, some of those grandpas like
Oh, good.
and pencils.
The charter, the board commission policy, and Bob's rules.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
On the agenda, it just talks about, after the training, it's just kind of an overview of the election commission responsibilities. So per home, this is one of our board and commissions that is in our home rule charter. So it was established a long time ago. And essentially, some of the duties is the election commission is responsible for recommending district boundary changes to city council, which we just did at our last meeting. And then
Now,
when.
is that the same thing as the precinct boundaries, the district boundaries?
Yeah, some precincts we don't do as much anymore because,
I remember precincts back in the old.
yeah,
Okay,
and I'm sure you can educate all of us on how that used to work with precincts, but yeah. So if there were a need to establish precincts, then absolutely that would be an election commission
Okay.
role to establish precincts within the city. And then also just whenever there is a gray area or whenever municipal election procedure is in doubt. So a lot of times it's not in our charter, it's not in our code, and it's not maybe in state statute, then we would bring that to the election commission for you to study the issue and then make recommendations. So that's the primary role of the election commission, and that's sometimes why we don't meet very often. I know, several years ago, we met with the election commission quite a bit to establish some gray areas that we had with the prior recall election that was happening. So that's really the purpose of the election commission, certainly, is just to do that. Also, if we were to be needing to hire election judges, you all would make those recommendations. We would bring you kind of election judge information, and then you would make that decision. In a prior special election that we had run, we had been given a list of Arapahoe County trained and certified election judges. We brought that to the election commission, and then they were able to recommend that as who we would be able to use. So it's things like that. You're really somebody that we come to with election procedures when they're in doubt. I'm sorry, something keeps
Well, it
doing
seems like
That's
in
my
the charter.
Okay, I just thought, oh, it's probably me. Okay. I'm sorry, Doug.
Slipped my mind.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh, yeah, if there's a need for a recount or the verification of the vote, I can't remember if there's a code word for that, then either you guys do the recount within the clerk's office or a member or two of the.
So I think if there was a situation like that, we would potentially get guidance from the election commission on how to handle that. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, again, something we would bring to the election commission to help make the decision of how to handle that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also remember possibly seeing something about making sure that expenses through during an election were correct or accurate, or but I don't know why I remember seeing that.
Yeah. That I don't know.
Because it was something about candidate expenditures.
Yeah, typically the election commission doesn't have much to do with like campaign finance. Is that what you mean with the filings and that type of thing?
Right.
Not
Okay.
that I've known of,
I know I
yes.
saw that.
Yeah.
Super PACs.
There you go. Okay, good.
Yes. Yeah, so you would essentially appoint election judges if that were something that was necessary.
And election judges these days are some different than like the election judge that used to stand at the entrance to Charles Hay School when I was a kid.
Yes.
And invite the people to come in and flip the little metal levers on the machine.
Yeah.
Okay. What do election judges do?
So election judges, in the last time that we had to use election judges is when we were running a special recall election. And they were hired to do all the signature verification for all the ballots.
Okay.
Mhm. And that was why we needed a highly specialized, trained, developed team. And we got that list through Arapahoe County because they do that for every county election. So,
Yeah.
yes. So that's the only time that we've used election judges in the last
Okay,
several
I
years.
thought maybe the election judges for our city would be something different than
Yeah.
the county law. Okay.
All right. So that's kind of the overview. Any questions on that? And then we can move on to just some discussion items, kind of updating you on everything that's been going on in regards to elections. So a lot to update.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll start with the first one, which is a recall special election. In April, so mid-April, April 19th, we had 4 affidavits filed with the city clerk's office for 4 recalls. So it was for District 1, District 2, District 3, and then Cheryl Wink in the at-large position. So we certified the petitions as to form so that those could begin circulating, and those did circulate. So we did get petitions submitted for District 1 on June 8th. Petitions submitted for District 2 on June 16th. Submitted for the at-large position on June 27th, and then the final one for District 3 was filed on July 6th. So the city clerk team had thousands of signatures to verify, which we did through the Arapahoe County voter registration list, in addition to the Secretary of State database that has voter registration records. So all 4 of those recall petitions were deemed sufficient. And so with that being said, in our charter, when a recall petition is filed and it's deemed sufficient, we shall hold a special election or an election within 60 to 120 days, unless a general municipal election is within that time frame. The time frame did not match up to put these on our November election. Therefore, we had to bring forward a request for a special election to fulfill our charter requirement. As you can imagine, especially with the way that the petitions came in staggered, it is most fiscally responsible to do one election for all 4 recalls. And so we were waiting for the final deadline to see if all 4 would be part of the recall election, which helped us set our dates. So we had to verify the dates and then the time frame we had for each of those petitions, and then land on one date that would be for essentially all 4 from a fiscally responsible standpoint. Also, just the time it takes to prepare for a special election was a consideration, and so that is why we requested a special election for October 3rd, just to give us maximum amount of time to plan that. I do have, just so you guys as a commission can understand kind of the statutory requirements that are involved with an election, and these are the requirement days of how quickly you have to have things in place. And so, you don't have to run it out, sorry about that.
Thank you.
Just kind of gives you an idea of, with an October date, it would allow us to back those dates up to make sure we're hitting all of our requirements. And so we went to council. Typically that is something that we would bring to the election commission to just say, here's what's going on. Here's what we are going to council for. The election commission has always, as a whole, recommended a mail-in ballot. And so we were tight on timelines. Our charter is written and state law is written to where as soon as you verify something, you have to take it to the next meeting of the city council. And so we ran into a situation where we had really tight deadlines. We had to go through the protest periods, make sure no protests to our petition sufficiencies were filed, and then get it to the council the very next day. So we've had to take it in 2 different times. But we did take that and ask for a special election date to be set. And then in addition to that, we brought forward, after evaluating the timelines for this special election in conjunction with the regular municipal election that we are already concurrently running for November 7th, we asked for a budget supplemental to allow a consultant to run that election versus us running it ourselves. So, yes.
I might be reading something wrong, but in the charter section, Article 2, Section 14, it says, no special election shall be held within 90 days before or 45 days after a general municipal or state election.
The recalls aren't part of that. So
Not
they
a
are
special
not
election.
subject, yes.
So the semantics of it are kind of scary because it says recall special election and then it says no special election.
Yes.
So I think you might run into a
Yeah.
legal problem with the wording.
And if you'll find, and I can print up, there is something when it comes to recall that says,
Yeah, special paragraph.
yeah, the recall, let me just find it for you. I should print up this recall petition for you, but it shows that it's not under that charter section when it has to do with recall, because our charter specifically states that it must be held within 60 to 120 days. So this is some of the problems that we are running into that we're going to kind of, we've asked for, the city attorney has been asked to look into potential charter amendments that would help avoid some of the contradictions that are there, and then to be more in alignment with current state law as well. So I know she's been working on that and bringing those forward on her end from the city attorney's perspective. So I'll try to find that language for you. But you'll find lots of those little nuances where we constantly have our heads in the charter, in the code, in the state statute, and sometimes there's contradicting language.
Which can be argued.
Again, with too many lawyers in this world. They're way too litigious.
I move that Mitchell be hired to clean up the recall section.
Babble,
babble, babble.
Teasing.
I think it's gonna be a group effort.
We're going to dive into that, very much so.
I understand.
And sometimes you don't even understand the contradicting language until you're in the midst of it. And that can be a challenge as well. So I think once we can get through these current elections that are happening, and then when we're not making decisions that are happening that would affect something that's currently going out, that's when we can make our best decisions. So I think just following what we have in place, I think that's kind of what happened when we had the 2018 recall, is there was a lot of language that was contradicting. We had to make decisions. We brought it to the election commission, who was able to weigh in on how they want that process to look. And I think it is best practice to do that, not when you're in the middle of the election. You don't want to make any changes to rules, regulations, procedures in the midst of a current election. So we'll study that. I'm hoping next year. That can be a big goal for our team certainly, and then all of you as well.
So if I'm understanding correctly,
Yes.
usually this type of situation is brought before us and we determine whether it's going to be a mail-in ballot or not.
It's
That
typically
has
a
already been determined for
It's
us.
typically a recommendation that you would make. We kind of follow best practices in the election world, how we've always coordinated with the county. Unfortunately, the county was unable to assist us because of the proximity of the November election. And so it's something that we always keep the election commission apprised of, certainly, so.
Of those 4 recall, District 1, 2, 3, and at large,
Yes,
how many of those are actually on the ballot in November?
2. And then in the midst of that, the at-large person, council member has resigned. So we will be conducting a District 1, 2, and 3 recall. So. But 2 of those were up for re-election in November. And that, again, was where in state law, it shows that if it's 180 days prior to a general election, the recall can't happen. But because our charter states the 60 to 120 days, that is what we had to follow.
Are any of the people on the recall running in
Yes.
November? So if they get recalled in October, they could be reelected in November.
Correct. What they're being recalled for is their current term.
Sounds like an awful waste of money.
So basically, yeah, these are the things that I think we always have to keep mindful, always be evaluating them of how our charter kind of lays out. Now, charter amendments go to a vote of the people, so it needs to be very thoughtful. And again, that's something our city attorney and outside counsel have been spearheading. But from a election procedures standpoint, that's where this group can really weigh in on making it just streamlined. So when you're in the midst of madness, essentially, we have a clear guide of how to run that process. So.
And just another aside, are they running unopposed? I hope not. The ones that are being
So
recalled.
far, yes, and that's my next topic on there, is updating you guys on the November election, so.
Wow.
Now, just kind of a policy question, I guess. If the recall in October is successful, we're not going to have a quorum during that month of October for council unless.
That is correct.
Okay, so everybody you get to take a month off.
Perhaps.
That would be all right.
We're also looking into that and what that would look like. But yeah, I mean, I think if you look at the timeframes and when, now realistically, the only special election we'll have to run for a vacancy is if there's a District 2 recall, because the District 1 and 3 will be on the ballot, and in theory, somebody will be elected for those seats. However, our recall election is October 3rd, and we don't swear in new council members for the November election until
So we
December
can't-
4th.
Okay.
So there is a period of time where theoretically we could not have a quorum on council.
Again, running unopposed, if they get 2 votes, they're back on.
Yeah.
All right, so really quickly, any questions on the recall specifically? And I just kind of gave this to you as a guide, just to kind of show you how quickly you have to hit the ground running with the recall. And just from a best practice to get that take that out of the clerk's hands, get that to a highly specialized and trained election official who can run that start to finish while we're conducting our November election. So. Any questions?
Can we see the mailing lists?
The what?
The mailing lists when they're mailed out?
Like the voter registration lists? Yeah, we can get those to you. Okay. All right, so moving on to our November election, I did print up a candidate list for you guys and an election calendar, just so you can kind of see the information that's what we're typically meeting to go over with about candidates. So this time of year, we usually are just updating you on the upcoming election. This is our current candidate list, and then this is the election calendar for candidates as well.
Thank you.
So as you can see, we have 5 people who have declared so far. Nomination petitions go out starting tomorrow, and those will circulate for 20 days. So all nomination petitions, and it's 50 signatures to get on the ballot. So August 28th is the drop dead deadline to turn in the nomination petitions. So people have clear up until that last day to declare and go out and get their 50 signatures. So that's our current. The big thing that the Election Commission does for us every 2 years is our lot drawing by state law. You determine the ballot position for each candidate based on our lot drawing, and the Election Commission gets to do that for us. So we've got that scheduled for September 5th. It's the day after Labor Day, so I'm hoping you all can join us. Typically, the candidates' names are put in a hat and drawn out to determine their ballot. It's very sophisticated.
What time will that be?
We've got it set up for 5:30 on September 5th.
Perfect. I just work till 5.
Okay.
We can do 5. I'll be here as soon as I can.
Okay, perfect.
Well,
Thank you.
Belinda, we'll have a police officer escort you across town.
Oh, no problem.
I have a question.
Mhm.
At large, 2 positions, 1 person running. How do they appoint the second position?
That's
City council
Very good
appoints?
question. Yeah, I think that if that goes unfilled, it would be treated as a vacancy. So then the council would be, per charter, need to appoint somebody within 30 days.
If my memory serves correctly, I ended up being appointed to fill a term on city council. If it's 2 years or more left on the term, there has to be an election. If it's less than 2 years, it's appointed position.
Mm-hmm.
So if this is the 4-year position,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that,
I think it would be till the next general election, which would general municipal election, which would be in 2 years.
Yeah, that's usually how it
Mhm.
is. 2 years.
It wouldn't be the full it would just be until the next general municipal election. So they would be appointed for 2 years.
Okay.
Did you say you were appointed to fill a place on council?
Yeah, way back in the day.
Oh,
I was chairman of the Board of Adjustment Appeals at the
Okay.
time.
okay.
And the city council person from my district left
How long was your appointment for?
22 and a half months.
Okay.
That's how I know that 2 year.
Yeah. Similar to what's happening now.
Yes, that's something we didn't have on the agenda, and that is that we do have a vacancy. And by charter, our council is required to fill that vacancy within 30 days. We opened that up for applications. We got 20 applications.
But only this many people
Wow.
actually running.
Correct.
Okay, something about campaigning?
Yes, it could
Yeah.
be, it could be. So we have 20 people. They will be deciding tonight how they want to handle those applications and how they want the process to work. We currently have Wednesday evening set aside for interviews. And then on the meeting of Monday the 14th, they will hopefully appoint someone and get them sworn in because their 30-day deadline is Wednesday the 16th. So everything is just this condensed time frame. So we're constantly just running to make sure we're hitting those deadlines. There's a lot going on in Englewood. So I suspect this candidate list will grow.
We hope.
So stay tuned.
Yes.
We've been updating this list as it changes on the website. So there is a 2023 election webpage that will have all the current information if you want to kind of stay apprised of that information too. So.
And just kind of a clarification for me, the last two, at-large, one position, 2-year term, we have Brenda Hubka and Kim Wright. Those guys are competing for the same job,
Correct.
the 2-year.
There's one position for a 2-year term and they've both declared for that 2-year term.
Got it, okay. That's what it sounded like.
Yes.
Okay, one hopefully last question.
No, it's okay.
Mail-in ballots only, there is no physical place for people to vote on election day.
For are we talking the recall election?
The regular.
The regular election, there is, so Arapahoe County always has designated vote centers. Englewood is not, we are only a vote center on the general elections, so every 4 years. So we aren't a vote center this year, but they do always have a
Within the
place
county.
within the county,
Okay.
many locations within the county.
And do we send any representatives to any of those, or we're not involved? The city itself, Englewood?
To what?
To the county's voting centers, do we have any presence there? Do
No.
we have any?
We don't. Now, we do, like I said, we do host a vote center. So in 2 years, we'll host a vote center here on the second floor community room. But that's fully staffed and maintained by Arapahoe County. So it's all of their volunteers. We just host it so that it's a service to our community. Yep. Okay. Any other questions? A lot going on. So yeah, I think there's just a lot of things that a lot of unknowns things we just don't know right now. So I think the first thing is filling this council vacancy and then certainly getting through the October 3rd recall election, which will then kind of give us a glimpse into whether we will be running another special election within 60 to 120 days to fill that vacancy. So that's currently how our charter
I'm
is
trying
spelled
to
out.
imagine how busy you guys have been. Because you got, like, without the recall and without Sam's Automotive and all this stuff, like you work 16 hours a day.
We're a small but mighty team.
Yeah.
I will add that.
Good thing you have each other.
I appreciate you guys. all the
Now,
work that you
I
do.
can just say that we have hand verified over 6,000 signatures.
Wow.
Okay. Huh.
Yes, and the last update is on the referendum. So in our community, we had a referendum petition that was turned in timely and deemed sufficient. And it's to stop an ordinance that was allowing a planned unit development at the former Sam's Automotive property on the corner of Oxford and Windermere, Navajo. So that was filed. That was in itself, I think, over 1,600 signatures that were verified, needed to be verified. We did deem that sufficient. That was challenged and a protest was filed on our determination of sufficiency. And then the procedure was for us to then hire a hearing officer to oversee the protest hearing. I did go to protest hearing and the hearing officer overturned our decision and deemed it insufficient. We have a policy that was created by the Election Commission many, many years ago with our former clerk that allowed for a cure period. So when a cure period is not outlined in state law, the Election Commission had made a policy decision that we would allow a cure period. So when our decision was overturned by the hearing officer, it was deemed sufficient. We did give them 5 days to go out and cure. They had to cure 57 signatures. They turned that back in and only got 40 signatures cured. And so the petition is currently insufficient. And so the referendum or the ordinance allowing the planned unit development is in effect. There also is some pending litigation in all of this, so.
I'm just curious, did the sinkhole throw a wrench into anything?
I think it's come up a couple times, but I don't know much past that. So.
Craziness over there.
So the one good thing is that the citizens have exercised their right to the civil process, the civics process, and we've certainly gotten a crash course into all of it. The interesting part that is that 3 major things are happening all simultaneously at the same time, so.
Well, and it's kind of exciting to have the younger people actually paying attention, even though I'm not sure where the end story is going to be, but at least we may jump off the 3rd story balcony here.
Yeah. Yeah. So any questions on the referendum?
So my understanding is that they didn't get 50 signatures. Who is they again? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. So the
Clarify that.
proponents of the referendum had an opportunity to go out and cure what they were short.
Okay.
Okay, so they needed 57 signatures cured.
And with that, how much time frame?
They only, I believe it's five days.
And when you say cured, they couldn't
Yeah.
go to new people, they could only go to the people that were
Correct.
questioned.
You could not get new signatures. You had to correct or amend existing signatures.
How close were they?
They got 40.
No, but
Oh.
how many did they need? How many did they submit initially? Did they bring in 1,500 and
Oh, yes.
they
So
were very close to the
originally,
minimum?
yes, they had just made the threshold of sufficiency in my
Barely.
determination.
Okay.
It was only like by 17, it wasn't very much.
I
That's
need to
crazy.
relook at all of it to give
Yeah.
It's crazy
No,
there's so little.
I
to
just
do
always
that.
wonder why petition people, they hire a lot of people to do the petitioning, then individual citizens do it. It's like, okay, why'd you stop? You just barely got over
Yeah.
the threshold. Why did you stop then? Bring another 1,000 in.
Yeah,
What
Well,
do
they
I
had
know?
a time frame. They only had about
Yeah, because it's just
20 plus days to get up.
40. Really?
yeah, the referendum process was new to me. As far as we had not been through a referendum since I had been the clerk. So I went back, through old files and, it doesn't happen very often.
Mhm.
So they did get, they got the signatures, but in the end, it just wasn't enough.
Well, and by the time they filed their protest or their referendum, they only had about 20 21 days to go out and get the signatures. You have 30 days to file. So I think that's maybe why they didn't get the 1,000 or whatever.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I think when you're petitioning, it's hard because you have to make sure they're registered voters and there's a lot to it, so.
Yeah, because they can say they were registered, but.
Exactly.
Vote early, vote often. Oh, wait.
You just got recorded with something.
All right, so members' choice. This is the time for any commission members. If you have anything that you want to bring up for discussion.
I am glad to be on the election commission. I hope that we are proactive. I am obsessive about reading news, and of course, we know what's going on with historical events happening in America. And, you know, I don't know if the city election commission has any influence when it comes to county, state, federal, but whatever it is, I hope we can do our duty and keep these issues from becoming stupid like current politics.
Oh, thank you for your service.
That's it.
And I'm good.
You good, Glenn?
And I really did want to say, I appreciate how hard you guys work. It just,
It is true.
it's crazy.
It is crazy.
The meetings I've been here, that last till midnight, and then the door opens at 8 o'clock the next morning. And
Barely, but yes, it does.
Well, thank you, Doug.
Appreciate
I
that.
really appreciate that.
I appreciate it too. I really do
Well,
appreciate it.
thank you for accommodating me. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate it.
We really do want to make sure we are as, doing it the best we can to make sure that it's good for everybody. So, and again, we're just chasing our tails half the time. So I do wish we had met a little earlier to kind of update you. And I think we were just trying to make sure we got everything done by the deadlines that we did. So
Yeah.
certainly I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future on all of this.
Well, and welcome, because you got much more than I did when I began this. So, because I knew nothing, we were told nothing. So I'm glad we're doing this now, because we need to do it with every new member. And so I really would like to see that from here on out.
Yeah, that's
Going over
that's a good
everything.
idea. Yeah.
Because as a new member, I wasn't told anything. I wasn't told what we do, nothing. We just did the boundaries and that was it. So you got a lot more, so welcome.
Well, and the new training is something we're rolling out to everybody, even existing members, because we recognize that people just need to feel like they have what they need to get started, so.
With term limits now on boards and commissions, it makes a difference, because in the old days, when I first started on Board of Adjustment Appeals, there were people that were lifers.
Yeah.
You know, Parks and Rec, I got term limited after 4 terms, even though now it's 3 terms. I mean,
Yeah.
there were people who would stay on boards and commissions
Oh, yeah.
basically forever, just kept getting rubber stamped to be reappointed.
Yeah.
So you didn't have a lot of new training because you had all these experienced people.
Experience is good, but new blood is, I think, just as important, if not more important.
Yeah, so we want to make sure we're giving everybody the tools and resources they need to be successful.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, any other members' choice? Clerk's choice, I don't have anything either, so I just want to thank all of you for meeting us, and certainly we'll stay connected, and we look forward to working with all of you on the lot drawing.
Yes.
Sounds good.
I'll bring my sticky fingers.
All right, with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank
you.
Real quick, I don't, I missed it, but I'll be doing it.
Okay, thank
And
you.
there's a little checklist, like once you get through the policies.
Perfect,
And
perfect. Oh,
member
thank you.
Coleman's already done his, but it's just a little checklist, once you get through everything,
Okay,
just acknowledging that you
yeah.
understand, and then bring questions to us if you have questions. Yeah.
Good, good, good. Thank you, thank you.
Well, you can go out and encourage everyone that there's available.
Yeah, come in tomorrow and pick up petitions.
Come in and pick up some
gosh.
petitions, yes.
2 years.
What, are you gonna run?
It's all about timing, isn't
You
it?
have to
Yes,
drop
it
off
is.
this board if you
Yes,
run
it
for
is.
council.
Yes, it is.
You have to drop off this board if you go for
I
council.
know that, but I'm off on 2 years, so.
It works. Cool.